Well, Chief White House correspondent Major Garrett joins us now from Las Vegas. Major, looking ahead to tonight's debate, who do you think has the most to lose and maybe the most to gain?
Well, I think you really have to look at 5 candidates. I know that's a big field out of the 9, but I think 5 really have a lot at stake tonight. Donald Trump, first of all, he's showing vulnerability in Iowa. And remember, national polls don't really mean that much. Republicans don't confer a nomination, neither do Democrats, based on national polls. They do it state by state. And the first state, February 1st, Iowa, Trump is showing genuine vulnerability. Ted Cruz is ahead in those 2 polls, and Trump's numbers are dropping. So Trump has to prove that he is a front runner, not just in national polls, but resonate again in Iowa. Ted Cruz, as I said, is rising, and if Trump attacks Cruz, Cruz will not have to do anything. He doesn't have to deflect. He doesn't have to respond unless he really wants to. Why? Because all Cruz will say to conservatives tonight is, look, I've been the one in Washington to take your agenda up against the GOP establishment. That's what I'll do if you elect me president. That's what I've done while I've been in Washington. Ted Cruz loves to talk about the D.C. or the Washington cartel, and he will say, I've constantly fought them. I'm even being criticized for that by some on this stage, an implication of Trump's recent criticism. So Cruz has a wide open lane for himself tonight. The other 3, Ben Carson. Ben Carson has suffered in the last month in Iowa and nationally because the conversation has become much more hard and tough on terrorism. That doesn't really fit with Carson's overall personality or his approach to those issues. He's going to need a strong rebound on foreign policy tonight to reshuffle the deck and get himself back in the top tier of the candidates. The other 2 people to keep an eye on, Chris Christie and Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is the only Republican who consistently polls in 10, 12, 14, 15. He's not near Trump or Carson or Cruz, but he's the closest one there. Will he be the establishment alternative? Maybe, maybe not. Tonight he's going to try to make a case that he can be. And Chris Christie has genuine momentum in New Hampshire. His entire campaign is based on winning or exceeding expectations in New Hampshire. Tonight he needs a debate performance to keep that upward trajectory there, or his campaign will face really difficult times ahead.
Major, we heard in your package that Ted Cruz will not engage in personal attacks. At least that's what we're expecting, though I'm sure that won't stop the other candidates from hitting him. Do you think that he needs to demonstrate his strength in the way that Donald Trump continues to do?
Well, Ted Cruz will probably get some incoming. There will be a conversation about whether or not he supports the bulk collection of metadata in the war on terrorism. There have been those on the stage, Marco Rubio among them, who say Ted Cruz voted to stop that metadata collection, and that's made us less secure. There could be a confrontation between Rubio and Ted Cruz over the definition of immigration amnesty. Those 2 have been going back and forth on who's stronger and tougher on illegal immigration. So those issues could crop up as well. But Ted Cruz right now has something that deeply gives him confidence. He has a very solid organization in Iowa. He is building momentum in South Carolina, and he is very well positioned for the March 1st series of primaries. After this debate here in Las Vegas, he's not going to go to New Hampshire. He's going to go to those March 1st states, trying to build extra momentum for him even after Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. So Cruz has a lot to look forward to. He needs a solid debate, though, to keep that momentum going.
Major, I find it so interesting that we're talking about Chris Christie and his success in New Hampshire and not talking about Jeb Bush at all, even though, you know, he's polling higher than Chris Christie in certain polls, at least. Is this it? Is this the end of the road, do you think, for Jeb Bush? Or could he really have a breakthrough moment with this last debate of the year?
I would find it much to my surprise, and I think most Republican strategists I've talked to would find it to their great surprise, if Jeb Bush had a breakout moment that materially changed his position in the polls. Jeb Bush has structural factors that have always worked against him. One, it's the Bush family name. It just doesn't resonate positively among conservative activists who disproportionately participate in caucuses and primaries. Plus, he's been out of the game for a while, and it shows on the campaign trail. Yes, he's getting better, but he got off to such a rough start, it's been hard for many Republicans to forget how rough that start was. Also, Jeb Bush's own record in Florida, though conservative, isn't quite as conservative as most Republican activists are now. So he has a bit of an out-of-touch problem. And Jeb Bush simply, I don't think in one debate performance, can turn all of that around. We've had many debates, and before each and every debate, the question has been, is this the one where Jeb Bush turns it around? It hasn't been. I don't expect it tonight.
Major, real quick before we let you go, that last bit in your package there where Donald Trump's note from his doctor, what are reporters saying? What is the Trump campaign saying about that, if anything?
Well, look, Donald Trump has a personal physician who attested to his general health, using all sorts of adjectives, stupendous, wonderful. He would be the healthiest person ever elected to the presidency. All right, that's all within the general level of expectations of Trump's superlatives. But the fact of the matter is this: that report is a cursory evaluation of Donald Trump's health. It's not nearly as extensive, not nearly as granular about his overall fitness and healthfulness as most presidential candidates release, and certainly all sitting presidents release about their own health. So Trump says he's in great shape. Fine. Most of his supporters, I suspect, will take it at face value. But when you look at that report and you compare it to ones released previously by presidential candidates or sitting presidents, there's far less detail, so there's far less to know actually about Trump's health.
Yeah, great reporting, Major. Yeah.
CBS News Chief White House Correspondent Major Garrett, thanks a lot.
And stick with CBSN. We're going to have all of the highlights and the lowlights from tonight's Republican debate. Our coverage will start at 7 p.m. Eastern.